Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Charles Wanjohi. I'm a lawyer, I'm an attorney, and I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Uh, we are the founders and the owners of Wanjohi and Muli Law Firm. We are located in North Carolina, in a city called Raleigh, and we operate from various cities in the US, starting from DC, Boston, Dallas, Seattle, all over. Any place where you are in the United States, all over 50 states, call us and we'll be there to be of help to you. Thank you so much, and we hope we shall be of help this evening.
Wow, thank you so much. Mueni Muli Raburu Tony. Karibu sana.
Good evening. How are you?
I am excelente so far.
Fantastic. My name is Mueni Muli Raburu. I am an attorney with Wanjohi and Muli Law Firm. Our main office is in Raleigh, North Carolina, but we also have offices in Boston, in Seattle, in Washington, D.C., and Dallas, Texas. But we represent people all over the United States and specifically in the 8 different units where Asylum, the offices, the main Asylum offices are. And we are just very excited to be here. It's been a long learning process. So I'm hoping that people are learning and taking notes and getting educated about immigration law.
Thank you so much. Charles, there is somebody who asked me where you come from. So, can you take us a little bit back to the village where you grew up, where you went to school, and all through? There's somebody who asked that question, and I thought I would ask that question direct. I don't want to start speculating.
Well, thank you so much. I don't know why somebody had to ask, but I'm very sure. Maybe have I spoken Kikuyu in your program? Maybe that's
No.
why this person
Yeah, that
thought
is why maybe they're asking.
this Kikuyu is too much. So my English is more Kikuyu than English. So everyone should understand that I come from Nyeri, in a village called Karundu. It's in Mukurene division. I schooled there from start one all the way to start eight. It's a very rural area, and my school was not a boarding school. It was just a regular Egishagi school. We used to walk barefooted. And those who know about the school uniform in rural areas at that time, we used to have something we were calling shafashi in our short schools. Your parents buy you a short, and within few months it's torn, and they can't replace. So they had to put some patches. So we used to have very nice decorations in our shorts as we are going to school. And after that, I was lucky. I got admitted to Star Boys Center for my high school education. And I say I was lucky because my parents did not have to struggle to educate me in high school. I got kite sponsorship from somebody somewhere whom I don't know. Just a good-hearted person somewhere in this world decided that he or she will pay my school fees for 4 years and supported me again in the university. Then and from there, from high school, I was admitted to Nairobi University, where I did my LLB course. That's where I studied, and was lucky that I graduated and attended Kenya School of Law. And from there, I was admitted as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. Then I worked in Kenya for maybe 1 year as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. And just like anyone else, I came to visit just for a brief period, maybe I think it was 2 weeks or whatever. I can't really recall exactly how long I was to visit. I was to visit for 2 weeks. Now it's over 13 and a half years later. I'm still here. My visit is not yet done. So that's how I ended up getting into the United States. And in the United States, I pursued admission as an attorney. In the year 2010, I was admitted as an attorney in the state of New York. where my license is from. And then I later got admitted in the state of Washington, also as an attorney. And and here we are. We've been working with Attorney Mueni for now, we're going to 8 years. And it's been fantastic. We all have long immigration history. Our own experience, what we've gone through, and what we encounter in the course of our work. Trust me, there is nothing new we'll ever hear about immigration. We've been through it. It's been tough. We've done all sorts of jobs in this country. We have suffered like anybody else, like most people, what they do in this country. So we've been through it all in the United States. But we just thank God that after all that, here we are. And due to the grace from God, we are here now. What we have learned and the gains we have got and the luck we have, all of it is unmerited. And due to that fact, that's why today we are proud that we are serving immigrants. And as you all know, our law firm, we deal with all kinds of law. But what we love doing is immigration because we've been through it and we really understand what our people go through. And there's no better thing we can do in this country than serving immigrants, and that's what we are doing.
Thank you so much, Charles. And it's very encouraging to hear that you have been visiting, and that is very good because in the process, you become an example and a true story. That way, somebody who is going through some challenges down there, somebody who doesn't have whatever it takes to be in this country, if you're, working chini ya meza huko, hujui utafanya nini, sasa unasikia kwamba hata unaweza kuwa wakili ambaye anaweza kuwa akishughulikia wengine, ama unatibu wagonjwa, ama unaendesha matractors, malorries huku. It is possible, and that is very encouraging. Congratulations, Starehe Boys Center, the alumni of Starehe Boys Center, the who is who we have in this country and in Kenya. So we are proud of you. I can now tell why the character of Starehe Boys Center. Okay, Mueni Muli Raburu. I know this was, I just sent a text and I said, hey, we are not just going to talk about Asylum. As we conclude some of these things, we need to know who is Mueni Muli Raburu, from where she was born, where she went to school, and when she came to the US, how she came, or rather how she has been in the US until she is now a renowned attorney.
Well, thank you very much. I was born in Nairobi, Kenya, where I was raised up to until class 4. Niliishi South Sea for up until that age. In class 5, we moved to Kiserian, and Kiserian is what I consider home because that's where I remember and that's where I have been. So I was in Kiserian from Form 4 class 5 up until I came to the United States. I went to school in Ongata, Rongai. Went there to primary school. It's called Olerai Primary School. I finished primary school. I went to high school in the cold regions of Limuru. Finished high school at Loreto High School, Limuru.
Reds.
And I stayed home. We're called Protect. We are the red ones. So I finished high school. I went through the process of getting into University of Nairobi. At the time, my mother had relocated to the United States. She had been like Wanjohi coming to visit for just a few weeks, but her few weeks ended up in 1 year. So I've been home for 1 year, and instead of going to University of Nairobi, I came to the United States after 1 year of finishing high school. I came and I went into undergraduate school where I did criminal justice. That took me about 4 years. When I finished that, 3 years later, went into law school and I finished law school. So I came here on an F1 visa to go to school. And of course, F1 visa means a lot of money to maintain your status. I was unfortunate to have that money to maintain my status, but here we are today. At the time when my mother came, she came with my 5-year-old brother. She was a widow at that time at the age of 37 years old. And she worked two full-time jobs, 16 hours a day for 16 years. And took me through law school, took my sister through her MBA, and my youngest brother just graduated from college. So it is not impossible. It is a lot of hard work, but those double shifts absolutely work. I'm a byproduct of double shifts. She just recently, 17 years later, stopped working her double shift. She actually works at our office right now and assists us there. So it has been a long journey from me coming to go to school, me being here today. So that process that you are going through, we have been through it. We have been able to overcome it. You know, people always say all the time that they come to such a big problem and they are so scared and so afraid, but not only are we, have the knowledge and experience to assist you, but we have been there. We have seen that story before and we have seen the other end of it. And that's why we're here. And that's why we're very passionate about immigration law specifically. I was in my immigration class, second year of law school, when I figured out I need to do this immigration class. It looks like there could be some problems here or there. And so here we are later. So I've been here now 18 years. It'll be 18 years in November that I've been in the United States.
Wow, that is a very good. We proceed on with our discussion, and I know there's an issue with a little bit challenge of some network, just a little bit. So I know it is going to come clear tonight. Maybe our Mueni Muli is broadcasting from remote. She's doing this remotely tonight. And you hear they have so many offices, and so if she's doing it remotely, there might be some challenges. If you hear some challenges with the network, don't ask what is happening. And now, somebody said, Jogona Wamushava, thank you so much. I see you. And you're doing a good job, my brother. Nakumbuka kule tumetoka ni mbali. Branis Karaoke says, Wakiri Charles, tatugeithie na gikuyu tuonekana. Somebody just said that nyumeta tomotomo kanaga turu. Anyway, thank you so much. That's somebody. Wow, it's great to hear such inspiring stories. Thank you. ESQ, what is that?
Esquire. Esquire.
Oh, Esquire. Yeah. Now I had to just read it the way it is. Anyway, I'm kidding. Very inspiring stories, Wanjohi and Muli. God bless you both. Thank you so much. That is Barnes. Barnes is our finance caretaker. She is based in Washington, D.C. Peterson Diarara Mugo, tuned from Wyoming. Thank you so much. Mudugina Ketago Ronco Williams from Masai Mara. Thank you so much. Naomi Ngodo from California. Thank you so much. Miriam Waithera, thank you so much. Now, let us get into this business, and I know it will be an interesting one. I would want maybe, Charles, you can take us a little bit on what we discussed, just a little bit, and maybe a few things that you have come across in the course of the week. Or rather some of the things that you would want to mention according to what people, maybe the people who have talked with you.
Thank you so much. Last week we spoke about, we briefly introduced what is asylum. And we said asylum is what is granted to a refugee. And refugee is that individual who is unwilling or afraid of returning back to his country of origin. Reason being that that person is afraid of being persecuted if you go back to your country. And we look at we try to look at the ground for that asylum. if you fear persecution, you have to show why you are being persecuted so that you become eligible for asylum. So we just introduced that asylum, and we said there are so many grounds, and we listed the 5 recognized or enumerated grounds, which if you're being persecuted or you're being harmed because of them, you'll be eligible for asylum. And we just mentioned them, and they were race, nationality, political opinion, religion, and membership to a particular social group. That's what we mentioned. And then today we'll be getting into more details, full details about this. But what I may want to say is that we've learned that asylum has changed a lot. The officers are willing to really work with people, and the way asylum are being held right now, there's a lot of changes. We used to go for asylum interviews and we would all be seated. The the interviewing officer, the applicant, and the attorney would all sit in one office. Now it has changed in many asylum offices whereby they are being, you go as an applicant, you stay in one room, the officer stays in another room, and the attorney stays also in a separate room. This is a bit better because clients are able to, they are more confident because while you are doing face to face with an officer, sometimes it's a bit intimidating. Now you're lucky that's not happening. So it's a lot of good things which are happening. And I know there's a huge concern of those who recently filed for asylum, because you all know that as you file for asylum, the notice indicates that you'll be scheduled for biometrics capturing, that is fingerprints, and it has not been happening of late. So if you belong to that category of people who have filed for asylum and you have not yet gone for fingerprints, don't panic. Nothing will affect you. It's a normal process. These are COVID times. There's a lot of changes, administrative changes. Asylum is still going on the right way. The metrics are still going on, but they are taking a little bit longer because those application support centers where people go to do fingerprints, they are working at a very reduced capacity. So they are not able to capture fingerprints for a lot of people. So those who have not, you should not be worried. And the failure to go for fingerprints will not in any way affect your asylum. When it's time for you to go for interview, even if you have not gone for fingerprints, you can still go ahead, attend your interview. When your asylum clock is still running from the day they received your asylum. So if it's when the day comes for your work permit, you will still go ahead and apply for work permit even if you have not gone for biometrics, right?
Thank you.
Tonight, I think we'll be talking about what is persecution, and we'll get into more details about the protected grounds. And after that, we shall touch a little bit about the changes, the recent changes.
Thank you so much, and especially on the recent changes. I know so many people are having questions in regards to the recent changes and whatever is happening in the immigration issues. Now, we want to make sure that we learn a lot tonight. If you have a question, you can send your questions directly to my number 978-227-6484. Because some people I know we don't like exposing these questions, so it is in confidence. If you send it direct on my number, I will not even mention your name. It is in confidence. As Attorney Mueni Muli Raburu is telling us what is persecution, maybe you can just mention something, an introduction of maybe something that has come up in the course of the week or in the course of this discussion on asylum.
One thing that we discussed the last time is want people to be careful about the issue of plagiarism. Want people to be make sure that you're getting help and getting legal advice from an actual attorney. We spoke about the fact that we've seen issues come up a whole lot whereby things are copy pasted or there's not a clear understanding of exactly what your claim for asylum is. So asylum is not just the application for the 589, but your application circumstances. And I hope so I'll start talking about persecution, exactly what is persecution as it relates to asylum. So there's not a clear definition by law as to what persecution is, which is why it's very important that you discuss your specific facts of what happened to you with an attorney so you can determine if it rises up to the level of it to be defined as persecution as far as what specifically happens to you. There's a case that we always refer to, it's a matter of Acosta, where we talk about persecution is a threat to your life or a threat to your freedom in such a way that that threat to your life or threat to your freedom inflicts suffering or harm upon a person so as to the level of being offensive, right? Again, you are threatened, your life is threatened, or you're threatened as far as your freedom is concerned, and it inflicts suffering or inflicts harm on the person applying for asylum to a way as it's regarded as offensive. Again, so this will be very fact specific. It'll be very important that you discuss your specific facts with the attorney so you can determine how to package it, how to be able to present it, whereby on the face of your application that your harm has risen up to the level of persecution. So we will say that a minor beating, we will say a detention for 1 day or 2 days, that is not persecution, right? It needs to be a serious threat to your life, to your freedom, is offensive to exactly what happened to you. So we can talk about something like an assault, a rape, a sexual assault. That is persecution. We can talk about a beating, a physical beating. That would be persecution. We can talk about FGM, female genital mutilation, that is prevalent in our communities. That would rise up to the level of persecution. We can talk about forced abortions. We can talk about sterilization. We can talk about threats of violence. I'm going to get you. We can talk about threats of death. We can talk about confinement. And remember, not 2 to 3 days of confinement. Your confinement needs to be actually significant. We can talk about severe economic deprivation. Severe economic deprivation. That applies to very many people in our community, and that could rise up to the level of persecution. Also, psychological harm. Do not look at emotional abuse as to be insignificant. It's not just a matter of what was physically done to you. You can suffer psychological harm. You can suffer emotional harm that will rise up to the level of persecution. So what is it that happened to you? Looked at the totality of the circumstances. That will rise up as to persecution. Again, asylum is very fact specific. We have not defined by law what persecution is, but we can take a look at your facts and by that determine whether or not you have been persecuted.
Thank you so much. What if, in the real sense, somebody has not been persecuted?
Well, there is something that we talk about past persecution. There's something that we talk about fear of future persecution. That is still persecution. So you want to be able to take a look at what it is that happened to you that you're fearful. If I am to go back, I have a well-founded fear, not just fear of persecution, but a well-founded fear of future persecution. You can be able to use that to be able to file your claim for asylum. The difference between the persecution, the past persecution, and the fear of future persecution in that when you're claiming future persecution, the government can rebut and say, hey, listen, there have been fundamental change in circumstances. Listen, you can relocate safely somewhere else. So future persecution can be used, but be careful about that. Something that we call fundamental change in circumstances. Is your fear really well-founded? And can the government show that, number one, you can safely relocate to a different location? And number two, there has been a fundamental change in circumstances to such a level that your fear is not well-founded. So if there's no past persecution, we can explore based on the country condition, based on where you're coming from, based on what you have been through, what your family has been through. Do you have a well-founded fear of future persecution?
Wow, that is very good. I am hoping that we are learning these are important things and issues that are affecting people from different cities, different states. If you're there and you have a friend who may require to learn these issues, not even just somebody else, even you as an individual, you can learn these things because you never know. Maybe you will have somebody else who will come and ask you questions. You don't know where to start or even what to say. People have got very many myths about asylum. People have got so many fears about asylum. They need to know some of these things because we are going to face them. We are going to face these people either in our churches, either in our communities, either somebody who has just come in, and you need to know these things. Earlier on, we discussed about the process of filing for asylum, the papers that you need, the documents that you need, and it is important for us to share this information with a friend or with our friends wherever they are. Okay, now, Charles, Attorney Charles, please, let's go through. Does all harm qualify for protection? Does all harm qualify for protection? Enumerated. Give us examples of the protected grounds.
Right, as Mueni has mentioned, she has done very well in trying to explain to you what is persecution. So persecution is the harm or threat to your life. Now, just getting anything can happen to you. If you walking along the streets of Nairobi and you get attacked or you get mugged, that's a harm. If you're in your village and you have a problem with your neighbor and they tell you they slaughter your cows and they spray pipe wherever to your crops or they all dry up, that's also a harm. There's economic deprivation. But the biggest thing we have to look at, yes, we first determine there is harm or there is fears, well-founded fear that there will be harm in the future. Then the next thing we look at is why. Why will you be harmed? Why were you harmed? It's only by you explaining why you are harmed, by you showing the link between the harm and the reason that you can get asylum. And we encounter a lot of cases and a lot of instances we get from various people who reach out to us. And I'm very sure each and every person who calls us, they've been harmed in one way or another in our country. Mm-hmm. Or they have fears that they will be harmed. And it's so reasonable. They explain to you, and sometimes you just feel bad that they have explained a lot what they have gone through. But at the end of it all, you tell them, but I'm sorry, we can't help you. Why? Because whatever is the reason for that attack does not fall under protected ground. And there are various protected grounds. We mentioned 5 of them. The first one is race. Luckily in our country, we don't have so much issues. They are there here and there. You'll hear sometimes some Muhindi is being harmed in somewhere in Kenya because it's a Muhindi. We are not of the same race. So race is one of the reasons why it can happen. It's not so common in Kenya, but in rare circumstances, it can happen in Kenya. If this person who is harming you or you fear being harmed is on the basis of your race, that's a ground you can use. The other one is religion. If you fear being harmed or you have been harmed because of your religion, then that's another ground. That's the second ground. But this one is now which people really need to understand. The United States, Department of State, they always have a religious practices report each and every year for each and every country. So countries are classified. Those countries who do not respect religious freedom, they are known. There are countries who are known to really respect religious freedom. In our country, Kenya, we encounter a lot of people who are saying I was being harmed because I'm a church leader, because I'm this, and they assume that that is a religion. Remember, a religion is you either belong to a religion or you don't. There are so many religions in our country. There's a traditional religion, there is a Christian, there is Hindu, Muslim, name them. There are all those religions. However, you have to show exactly what is this aspect of that religion you are being harmed. And unfortunately, in our country, is not known. The country report for a country does not show there is a lot of religion-based persecution. There's very little religion-based persecution in Kenya. And contrary to many expectations, people talk about Al-Shabaab coming to attack you because you are pastor or such a thing. Unfortunately, it does not work. The documented religious persecution in Kenya is to the Muslims. People note it. Christians are not persecuted in Kenya. The people who are persecuted mostly are Muslims. They used to be persecuted. You were hearing the time they were being persecuted in Mombasa. There was that indiscriminate arrest and detention in Mombasa. Those could claim. The other people who are claiming there is an aspect of religious persecution, or Christians who are claiming that they are being persecuted by Mungiki because they are Christians. Unfortunately, that does not hold water. The US government rarely accepts that. Because at the end of the day, even if you are talking about persecution, you still have to show the government is unable and willing to protect you. So the Kenyan government is known to protect religious freedom. So that's all to do with the religion. It's not one of the best grounds to use if you are Kenyan, unless you are Muslim of those times when Muslims are getting persecuted in our Kenyan coast or in Italy. The other one is nationality, that you are being harmed because of your nationality. Luckily in Kenya, we are all the same nationality, so that is not a ground which would be very applicable, that you're saying I'm being harmed because I'm a Kenyan. It really does not count for us. At least we are lucky. The other one is political opinion. When we get the political opinion, people need to understand there are two things. You can have a political opinion and you are persecuted because of it. You can lack political opinion, but the person who is coming to harm you assumes that you have a certain political opinion, and you end up getting what is called imputed political opinion. So there are two types of political opinion. There is real political opinion, and there is imputed. So when we talk of political opinion, it means that you hold a certain persuasion, you hold certain political beliefs. And it's on the basis of those political beliefs that somebody within the authority, or somebody whom the authority is not willing or is unable to protect, is coming to attack you, so that they can overcome that opinion you hold. And that's why during Moi's time, there was a lot of political asylum from Kenya, because a lot of opposition people are being they were being harmed in Kenya, and they ran and they got a lot of asylum. Well, right now, unfortunately, Captain, we have like 300 or 400 ODM cheerleaders within our midst. A lot of Kikuyu women were all ODM cheerleaders, be it from Nyeri, be it from Ranga, Kiambu, and I think some parts of Kenya. There is a lot of people now, they are saying they are being harmed because of that political opinion. But you have to be very careful when you apply for asylum based on political opinion. Well, being an ODM member in central Kenya during that time, that could be a ground. Unfortunately, it will be so hard for you to prove that the Kenyan government will not be able to protect you. So if you happen to be uh, a supporter of the government and you are being harmed, well, it will not really add up that the Kenyan government, the government which you are supporting, is unable to protect you. So those people who are using political opinion need to be, you really need to have your acts together. There are a lot of ways to go about political opinion, but it's not just a matter of I belong to this party or I belong to this party. You can have some aspects of governance you don't accept. You are opposed to this. I'm opposed to this practice within the government. And it's on the basis of opposition to that practice within the government that you are being harmed. That can become. Again, if you are having a certain political persuasion, like I'll use an example of people from central Kenya, you are a member of ODM, and during the heydays of Mungiki, they would come to harm you because you are supporting, you're opposed to the government, you are supporting ODM in central Kenya, and Mungiki would come to harm you. There you can articulate about political opinion if your membership to that. However, you really have to show something in addition, because you have to really convince that the Kenya government will not protect you, yet you are being harmed because of supporting that government. So when you get to political opinion cases, one has to be very careful. And you also have actually to be additionally careful because each and every year, the State Department, as we've been telling you so many times, there is country report every year, and it lists all human rights practices and all political happenings within the country. So you might be coming to tell us something about this political opinion you had, and people will just flip some few pages and they say, the country condition do not support what you are saying. So political opinion cases, one has to be very careful because a lot of people are in removal proceedings. They are being deported on allegations that because they had a case which was based on political opinion and it's not adding up. And remember, government change each and every day. Today you might be harmed because you are an opposition member, and then tomorrow the opposition becomes the ruling party. Today Jubilee may be harming you, and 2023 another party takes over. So if that is the day you're going for your interview, then you will encounter what Attorney Mueni said. There are changed circumstances. So even if you had been harmed, there can be changed circumstances. So the government can come and rebut the presumption that there will be persecution, because they say you are persecuted by the Jubilee government. It's no longer in power, and then you cannot get it. So there is that aspect which one has to be very, very careful. And unfortunately, it's happening. Those political opinion cases is where there's a lot of plagiarism. They are photocopy. And people, you are telling us you are the ODM chairman in whatever part of Kenya. And it's so easy for the US government to determine whether that's the case. Remember, in Kenya, the Kenyan embassy is taking care of American interests. And one of the things they're interested with is political happenings with the country. I'm not sure, so nobody should quote me, but there's a likelihood that they know who are the political leaders. And there are some positions which you will think, because I think you thought, because you are attending ODM meetings, you thought you are the chairman, and you are not. So you will find you are here trying to convince them that you are the ODM chairman of Nyeri. And maybe in your heart, you believe you are the chairman because you are used to attend ODM meetings that people are calling you chairman. But the official records do not reflect you are the chairman. Unfortunately, things do not work like that. Second, when we get to this, there's also an aspect of people, I don't know, you bring those letters from your headquarters. ODM headquarters, you bring membership card, you bring all those kind of stuff. Please just know that the US government knows about all this. So if you got a conman in your village who sold to you a certain card that told you this is ODM membership card, and you came to the US believing you are a member of ODM and you have the membership card, you have to be very careful. You have to verify, because the minute you submit it to the USCIS, they will counter check, because they know how the ODM membership, they know how Jubilee, maybe Tangatanga or Kieleweke when that time comes. They will know how they look like. So if you're alleging you're a member of Jubilee and you have that Jubilee membership card, just ensure wherever you bought it or you enrolled that while in Kenya, that it was legit, because you know very well Kenyans, we are very innovative. I'll go to my village and start selling Jubilee or ODM cards, and I pocket that money. So one has to be very careful. Imputed political opinion, maybe I'm being told to do this and I refuse to do it, and somebody may think that I'm opposed to the government while I'm in need. I'm not even opposed to the government. I don't even care about politics, but I'm being harmed because it's being alleged that one day I was seen with some opposition political leaders. Whereas we are not even talking about politics, maybe we are talking about business, but it's being presumed that we are talking about opposing the government. So that's where imputed political opinion arises. And this one also arises with Mungiki, people who use Mungiki and those who use Chinkororo and such groupings. There can be an aspect of imputed political opinion. So that's something one can look at. There's also, when we get to foreign domestic violence, there's an aspect of political opinion. If you're a woman who believes in human rights, there can be that aspect of political opinion in that. The other one is membership in a particular social group. Mm-hmm. Now, this is what we call a catch-all group. Anything. There's no legal definition of what is a membership in a particular social group. Courts keep tossing it left, right, center, trying to define what is membership in a particular social group, because it's very fluid. Today, there might be this social group in Kenya. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow, that group may not exist. So that keeps changing. But there's some aspect of consented or settled law to what composes particular social group. So USCIS or Immigration Court, as they evaluate membership in a particular social group, they will be looking as to whether that group we are alleging is composed of members who share a common immutable characteristic. These are people who have a common, you have something in common, mm-hmm. and it's not something which can change. It's something which is very clear. You cannot change. It's what is called common immutable characteristic. You cannot change. If, for example, I am a Kikuyu woman who is supposed to cultural norms like FGM, I cannot change my belief. And it's a common thing if there are other people like me. So that characteristic, which is immutable, which you cannot change, if it's a sexual orientation, I'm a gay, I'm a lesbian, it's something I'm in, I cannot change, because it's either fundamental to my identity, mm-hmm. or I believe in it and I hold it so dear that I cannot change it. And I'm not expected to reasonably change it. That now becomes an immutable characteristic. Then they look whether that group can be defined with particularity. Are you able to clearly say what is this group? Are there defined boundaries? Not everyone in Kenya can be protected. Is this group? Which are the boundaries of this group? Can you define what are the particulars of this group members? For example, gays, gay men in Kenya. That's a very particular group. But you cannot be men from Kenya. There has to be that aspect of gay men from Kenya. If it's like FGM, as an example, you can be that group of women who have been subjected to FGM, or women who are afraid of being, who are opposed to FGM. So that can also be, that is what will bring particularity. How particular are you in this? And then, is this something which is known within the community? And what they look at the wording is it something which is socially distinct? Now, when people are talking of particular social group, a lot of people ask us, is it like a registered group? Is it a formal grouping or something like that? No, 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 no. It's not like that. All they need is this a recognized group? Is it a known group? Is it socially distinct? Wherever you live, your community, is your community able to identify who are the members of this group? As we, like that example we are just talking about, gays and lesbians, it's known that there is a group of lesbians in Kenya. It's known that there are women who have been subjected to FGM in Kenya. It's known that, like previously, there were those Kikuyu who are opposed to freedom of, to deprivation of freedom of association, and by extension, they were opposed to Mungiki because of that. That would bring something which is socially distinct. So this grouping does not necessarily mean that it has to be a registered group. It just has to be a group which is known within the community. And it's one of the most difficult things when people are applying for asylum, because a lot of people apply for asylum talking about they belong to a certain group. But you ask them, what is that? What is that membership? What is that group you're talking about? They are not able to articulate. And you find a lot of instances, somebody has been harmed, somebody would be protected, but unfortunately, they are not able to articulate their social group. So when you apply for asylum, you have to show you've been harmed. And if you are using that membership to a particular social group, you better understand it. It's one of the very difficult things for one to understand. You need to sit down with somebody who understands you, and that will now make you be able to get that asylum. For example, I'll talk of something like FGM. You've been subjected to FGM. If you just go to asylum office and say, I'm coming because I've been subjected to FGM, the officer may ask you, what else? And they might decide not to give you that asylum. The officer needs you to come and explain why you are subjected to that FGM. What is that grouping you are within your country who are usually subjected to FGM? Why were you subjected to FGM? Was it consensual? Were you tricked, or was it forced? It has to be forced. So that's what will bring the aspect of particular social group. And once you are able to do that, you can get your asylum. But understanding it is the most difficult thing. I'll not tell you it's simple. I don't know how many people even have understood what I'm saying, to be honest. But that's how difficult a particular social group is. But the good thing is, once you go to any lawyer, you explain yourself. If it's an experienced lawyer, they will tell you, yes, you fit. And they will be able to clearly tell you what is your particular social group. We have a lot of instances whereby somebody is being attacked by a relative. I hear it a lot, especially widows, and I feel for them. When your husband dies and you have a lot of property and your in-laws start attacking you because of that, it's so difficult to get asylum. Yes, there was harm, but it will be difficult for you to clearly show why, to clearly show that there exists such a social group within your country so that you get protected. You hear people talking about was a businessman and some people are coming seeking protection and all that, and because I did not give my money, I was attacked. Yes, you attacked, and it's a harm. Maybe they even threaten to kill you, and for real, they'll kill you if you go back. However, you are not able to link it to a certain particular social group. So, in conclusion, I'll say not all harm will qualify as persecution. It will just remain a harm. It will remain like a criminal enterprise against you. It's a crime which was committed against you. But unfortunately, it will not qualify as persecution because you are not able to fit reason for for the harm to one of those 5 protected grounds. And
Wow.
the last one, you may have a case which does not fit under any of those. However, the government is the one which was harming you. The government is the one which was harming you. In such situation, you can be eligible for withholding based on a convention against torture. If the government is the one which really harmed you, then you can get protection under convention against torture.
Wow, that is a deep stuff. Just like you said, I don't know whether we understood all of them, but it is important, according to what I'm seeing and the questions that are coming up, and it's getting deep. Now, as Tony Mueni comes in to just furnish us with this, I would request her to repeat what we mentioned on plagiarism, because we have had these cases and these issues are becoming too many. And then the other question is, if I started and I drafted my story and I said I was going through one particular incident or one particular issue, and then all of a sudden I think that maybe since I was going through that particular issue, and then I think that maybe that particular issue may not buy the waters, can I change to another more serious issue that I was also going through at the same time? That is something that has come. The other question is evidence. We mentioned this last time, but it would be important for you to mention about the importance of evidence of all these things that Attorney Charles has just mentioned. Now, for those who just came in, we have attorneys Mueni Muli Raburu and Charles, and we are here specifically to discuss the issues of Asylum. And if you have any question, feel free to ask these two great people, great Kenyans. They are here to support you, to answer all your questions, and it would be important for you to share this broadcast with somebody else so that at least people can know what happens. So let's come to the issues of okay, let's first of all touch on the new changes. I don't know whether we would start with the new changes, but I would want Attorney Mueni to mention a little bit about the things that I have mentioned, documentations and plagiarism, those two things, out of some questions around here.
So as far as the evidence is concerned, we're going to go into detail next week when we finalize this topic about how to present your asylum application, what the interview process is, and specifically about the evidence. The evidence will be a whole hour discussion by itself. Will be very, like we did that for the adjustment of status by marriage, will be very specific as to what kind of evidence you should present and how to do the interview. So we will cover that. I hope you'll join us next week about regarding that. As far as plagiarism is concerned, you've had Attorney Wanjohi talk a lot of things. And there was no legalese in what he said. It's just basic. This is what it says about the asylum law, but it is very, very difficult. Asylum is nothing that you can do by yourself, and you should not do by yourself. If you want to take a risk and do adjustment of status on your own, take that risk, but do not take a risk with asylum. With asylum, if you are found to have submitted a fraudulent claim, that bars you from any kind of immigration benefit ever in the United States, right? So you applied your application for asylum. You said that you have been persecuted by Al-Shabaab. You go into the interview, and when you're questioned about it, they make a determination that you probably copied somebody's application or you just Googled something on the internet. Then you lied when you're doing your application. There's always going to be a question: have you ever lied to an immigration officer? So you're there at your interview, you are giving untruthful information, and that will bar you from any kind of immigration benefit. It is very, very unfortunate that we know who these agents are, and the agents who do this asylum application. Oh, it's very easy. All you have to do is complete a 589, and they are well known. They are so well known that we'll get a letter from USCIS or get a phone call from the asylum office and say, hey, listen, we got your client that has an interview coming up next week. We know that they did this application by agent captain. And of course, it's not captain, but let's say they know captain does this application, that they say, we know that captain did this application, so save us all some time. So do not do this. If you're going to do an application for asylum, the investment that you make ahead of time to get the good legal advice, to be able to have an understanding of what really the application is worthwhile before you go in and discover, like you said, I did an application. It was not everything that I had gone through. You need to amend it. Going to that interview becomes a problem. After that, you're in immigration proceedings and being deported because you did not get the right legal advice. So let's not play with asylum. Right? Of course, there's a lot of fear mongering out there that there's no asylum available anymore, especially in this government. And we're not here to pass any fear. Asylum is available. The law has not changed, but it is a very special niche of the law that you should not attempt to do by yourself, because you need the legal help. You need the legal understanding of it, of the actual definitions. I mean, persecution is not persecution, right? It needs to be very specific. A membership in a particular social group. You'd wonder why FGM can qualify for it, yet wife inheritance does not, right? So it is very fact specific. That's why it's important for you to meet somebody, give them your complete facts, everything that happened to you, and then we put that in a definition that meets the requirement of the law. If you have done an application by yourself, you made a mistake, you used an agent, you went on Google, tried to do it by yourself, you now realize that you made a mistake, then it's not over until it's over. Let's assume you've gone to the interview. Let's assume you're in removal proceedings. Get some help. Speak to somebody whereby we can be able to get a copy of your entire application, what you submitted, and then be able to review that and see how we can be able to salvage that situation. So it's not over till it's over. It makes it very, very difficult. Again, you would not be in this situation if at the very beginning you sought legal advice. So do the right thing. In your actual application for asylum, the page that you sign, it asks you, are you aware that you can get free legal advice? If you have suffered persecution, you're a refugee, there are organizations out there that can be able to assist you with your application for asylum. Charles and I are members of many of these organizations like Catholic Charities or Legal Aid, whereby we offer free legal advice to people in need. So you should get the help. You can say that money is a problem. Well, you can qualify for this low-income organizations that can be able to assist you, but do not do this on your own, and do not use an agent. Use a qualified representative processing application for asylum. Because of that, there changes the asylum law. Again, there's a lot of rumor mongering out there, fear mongering out there. Our administration is the way it is right now. So bottom line is that the asylum law has not changed. The president does not have the power to change the law, right? There are some changes in the policy and procedure of this. And the reasoning behind that is because there are very many fraudulent asylum cases, and the government is looking to find a way to stop them. Many people are crossing over in the border, crossing over the border and applying for asylum. The system is overclogged. They're trying to find a way to deter that behavior of coming here and just applying for asylum. So they're doing all that they can do to stop the influx of the asylum applications. And they're also, there's no incentive anymore. They're reducing the incentives that there were to apply for asylum. One big thing and one great thing about asylum is that you get that protection. You get a receipt that says, hey, remain in the United States until your case is finalized. And guess what? Within 150 days, we'll offer you work authorization that's good for 2 years and renewable for every 2 years until your case is finalized. So those are the incentives that were there with asylum. People were in a rush to file asylum. There was an really big backlog. I mean, we're still going to interviews now that we applied in 2015. I mean, it's a 5 years, 6 years backlog in applications for asylum. So they're just looking to cut down on the number of people who are applying. But the law is the law. What is persecution remains. What are the categories of it remains. Just a matter of the incentives whereby the service or the Attorney General has the liberty to be able to make these changes that they have done so. And they're also trying to reduce the frivolous claims, again, the copy pasting of asylum claims, the one 589 will be used by 10 different people. And our only goal is to get a work permit. We always tell people that is not the goal. A work permit doesn't make you stay here permanent or legal in the United States. It gives you authorization to work. That should never be the ultimate goal. But for most people, I understand, out of desperation, you're like, if I can just get a job, if I can just get a driver's license, I will be much better off. But because of that, the system has been abused. And that's why we've had these changes only as far as, again, the Attorney General has the discretion to do so, have those changes been made, but the law remains the same. The president does not have the power or the authority to change the law. So again, they're looking to reduce the number of applications they're getting, looking to reduce the incentives that are there to apply for asylum. They're looking to stop all the fraudulent asylum claims that are there, looking to stop the frivolous asylum claims that are pending and clogging up the system, and to give the other meritorious claims chance to be heard, because you have suffered persecution in your country and you applied in 2014, and in 2020 you have not been called for an interview. So the thinking behind the Office of the Attorney General is that let's clear this bad cases out. Let's give the people who have good cases a chance to be heard and a chance to legalize their status. So among the changes that we have, that there has been an extension of the waiting period before filing for asylum. So you're required by law to file your asylum claim within a year of entering the country. So that law still remains there. We have been able to file for asylum even after the 1 year of entering the United States. However, if you do that, then you're going to miss out on the opportunity to be able to get a work permit. We have also eliminated the issuance of recommended approvals in the granting of affirmative asylum claim. So usually would go to an asylum interview and the asylum officer would recommend an approval in your case. You'd get that good news whenever you're checking up on your case. They'll tell you you're the clearance case before we approve your case. So would get that benefit of knowing where you stand. But right now, that's not an option anymore. If you have entered the country illegally, if you have crossed over the border without an inspection or admission, if you filed after a year of entering the US, if you have any kind of criminal conviction, domestic violence, assault, DUI, DWI, child abuse, child neglect, controlled substance possession, you will not be eligible for work authorization. So guess what? If your case is pending for 5 years, those 5 years, you cannot get a work permit. So that is detrimental to a lot of people. So you have to be very careful and really think about it. Should I file for asylum, and what will I get after filing for asylum? Then the validity period of the EAD, right now they're good for 2 years. That will be limited. There's going to be a requirement that there is biometric collection for employment authorization before you can get the employment authorization based on asylum. So before my asylum claim is pending, I get my EAD automatic. That is no longer the case. You will have to go through your biometrics. Your biometrics have to come clear. So if you have pending cases, even without a conviction, that will limit and prevent you from getting your employment authorization. Again, if you were paroled into the US, meaning that you were not actually admitted, the way you saw an immigration officer, they said, hey, come on into the US, then that will limit your ability to apply for employment authorization. So all these changes will be there. Biggest thing is around the EAD. You have to be very, very careful. Really look at your situation, see what your facts are before you proceed with the filing of asylum. We have it now whereby you can apply for your case, and on the look of it, because it's insufficient, they can deny your asylum application. So do not put yourself in that situation, because once it's denied, then now you're put in removal proceedings. And this can be done even before you go for your interview. So all these changes have come about, again, not to pass fear, not to pass confusion, just to encourage you to speak to an attorney and get the right information before you proceed with your asylum application. If your asylum application is pending, please speak to an attorney, look at what you submitted, what evidence you have there, and make sure that you're ready to proceed with your case once your interview is called up.
Wow, thank you so much, Tony, for such an enlightenment. And I hope that our viewers and our listeners on the Trumpet of Hope apps, I hope that you are getting this information, and this information is it is part of our mission statement as the Trumpet of Hope Media Ministry, to inform, to educate, to encourage, to motivate, and even to sound the alarm. For example, when Attorney Mueni speaks of a DUI, when she speaks of domestic violence, you're there, you came in from wherever you came in from, you filed for your asylum, it is not yet through, or any other thing that you're still in the process, and there you are, you have all these cases that are following you up. So it becomes a very big challenge. And to those people who have already filed for asylum, but they have not yet been called for the interviews, what do we need to know? What do you need to prepare? Because you filed for the asylum, and then there are these changes that Attorney Mueni is talking about. Then it is important to seek information, to seek advice from a professional, not from somebody else who went through asylum, because we have that issue of Captain went through the asylum. So what did you do? What did you say? What did you answer? How did you do ABCD? At the end of the day, you think that your case will be like mine, only for you to realize even if we have the same narrative or same story, it is different because of how I present my case and how you present your case, the evidence that you have. This is important. That is why we have the Trumpet of Hope. Now, Attorney Charles, let us dig deeper into these changes, and what next for the so many of our viewers who have cases pending, they already filed. I want you to dig a little bit deeper in what Attorney Mueni has just said.
Well, just one more additional change, which is going to take effect on next month, will be a charge of $50. There will be a filing fees for asylum. Remember, as of now, you don't pay anything to apply while applying for asylum. However, they're introducing a charge of $50 as from October 2nd. It's very unfortunate, but hey, we got to live with it. We still want the protection. One of the highlights I would have, as Attorney Mueni has mentioned, these changes are mostly towards work permit. That's their main concern. And they discover there is a lot of frivolous filing and meritorious filing just for the sake of getting a work permit. So one of the thing which happened is that a lot of people would file for asylum when they think that they might be eligible for another relief called cancellation or removal. There have been a lot of cases whereby I stay in the United States for 20 years, and because I have children and I think I might be eligible for cancellation of removal, I apply for asylum. So that asylum is denied, and I go to immigration judge. And once I go to immigration judge, I tell them, don't worry about asylum. I got something else. So to avoid that, they are really taking very serious measures against people who are filing after 1 year. And they have said if you file after 1 year of arrival here, you will not be eligible for work permit. You will not be eligible for work permit, not until your asylum is approved. Before you could get a work permit, whether you filed late or you whatever time you file, you would get work permit as long as your case is pending for over 150 days. Now you can't. Unfortunately, those people who already filed, these rules came into effect August 25th. And those people who filed for asylum late, outside 1 year, and they will not be eligible to file for work permit, even if they were already after 150 days, their case had been pending for 150 days. They cannot now be eligible to file for work permit. If the application for work permit is pending, it won't be approved because they are no longer eligible for work permit. If they already have work permit and it expires, they will also not be able to renew. They will not be eligible for renewal. It's very hard hitting, and we really feeling for those category of people because they are really people who have filed for asylum outside 1 year because of some circumstances which are beyond their control. Some of them is sickness, others is because they were given wrong advice and all that. Now they will not be eligible to file for work permit. They'll only get that work permit after their case has been approved either by a USCIS officer or it's been approved granted by an immigration judge. The other thing which really people need to know is the asylum officers now have been granted a lot of powers to really make very adverse finding on your case. Before, asylum officer will not necessarily adjudicate a matter as frivolous. Most of the time it had to go before a judge, immigration judge, and there would be a finding that that asylum application is frivolous. This is no longer the case. An asylum officer now can adjudicate your case as frivolous. Before, you were entitled as of right to go for an interview or to go for a full hearing before immigration judge. That is no longer the case. They can look at your 589. They see whatever you have, the details you have written in that form. If what is in that form on its own does not show a prima facie case, they do not show that you have a case, an asylum case, it will be denied. You will not have to go for an interview. So people now have to be very careful. It's now more important than ever before for you to get proper legal advice because this government is very much concerned with it. That asylum get full funding from the government. It's not like other USCIS applications, which is user funded. Asylum is 100% funded by the government. And yet it's one of the process which is being abused. And because of that, they are very serious about. For example, and it's very unfortunate that a lot of people have plagiarized their asylum statement, and it's now getting very serious. They are really putting into a lot of resources into those kind of cases. And a lot of people will land into trouble. We have had ourselves, even we as attorneys, you file cases and you find this officer think that you playing some game. When this issue of plagiarism started, the first people to be investigated were attorneys. And even us, we encountered instances whereby 3 of our clients would go for interview the same day. You have 3 interviews the same day, 7:30 in the morning, 10 o'clock, and 1 o'clock. Same officer, 3 of your clients, and they wanted to see whether those cases are similar. The supporting evidence is the same and all that. Luckily, in our firm, we try to be as professional as possible, and we've never had any plagiarized case, and we cannot do that. So our 3 clients were able to go through. So people have to be very careful. Asylum is no longer the way it used to be before. And again, there was this big question somebody asked about, can you change your line of claim? The law is, when you file for asylum and you present yourself before a USCIS asylum officer or before immigration judge, you are allowed to present as many claims as you have, all the reasons you think would make you be eligible for asylum. You do not present one thinking this is the strongest case, then after a few days, when your case is denied, in appeal, you also say, I had this case also. You can't do that. So if you have one line of claim, which you thought is very strong, and you sit with an attorney, you explain your full details, what you underwent through in your country, the attorney will be able to determine that you also have an additional claim. And during your interview or before interview, you will notify the USCIS that as I come for my interview, I will also be having this additional claim, and you can present it. So it's not that you will change your line of argument. It's not that you will change your line of claim. You cannot today write and say I was subjected to FGM, and tomorrow you go for interview, say no, never worry about that. Let's deal with domestic violence. No, you still have to explain that line and also explain this new one which you did not know that you will be eligible, but after you interacted with a knowledgeable immigration lawyer or immigration practitioner, you learn that you can present this. So the officer will look at it, and as we will be discussing in our subsequent session, the officer may determine that you are credible. However, these changes can also make the same officer determine that you are not credible. For instance, if you had a very, very major claim, you did not present it. Now you presented a very weak claim. Now you are going for interview and you are bringing out this new claim. The officer that change may be so big for an officer to find you not credible. And unfortunately, when you get to finding of credibility, it's all human. It's human beings who are interviewing you. It's not a machine. So the officer, the impression they get right from onset will drive them towards finding you credible or not credible. I always say, we'll come tell the same story. Me, I will doubt it. Somebody else will believe it. It's the same thing which happens with asylum. So as you change your line of claim, you have to be very careful. You have to show exactly why there was such. And in real instances which we have dealt with in our office, we have found like some of these old women from Kenya. Just I'm not having anyone in particular I'm mentioning, so this is just a hypothetical case. There is an old woman from Kenya who was the husband died or something happened like that, and the relatives are coming to harm her because they want her property. And she wrote and filed for asylum based on that, the fight for her inheritance. The in-laws want to take it. However, upon discussing with her, we dig deep and we find even this lady has been subjected to FGM. However, she is not able to explain because she is shameful that she was subjected to FGM. She did not want anyone to know about it. But that thing is always, the trauma is always in her heart. So what do? We tell her, ma'am, go get some counseling, go see a therapist, they counsel you, then you come and really tell us about that. Those are the fears you have, that are the harm you underwent. And now as we go for interview, we shall be able to present the FGM case with an explanation why we are presenting it now, because the client has undergone some counseling. The client now she has always been ashamed of being subjected to FGM. That's why she could not tell it, but now she is free to tell it. And you find yourself getting asylum based on that, a totally different line than what you had. But we are able to show how it came about. If you just go and say, no, I learned I should not use that, I should use this one, it will be so difficult for you to get it, because the officer will be asking, how comes you forgot about such a serious harm you underwent?
Awesome. And now, this is very serious. I thought that today is the final day for our discussion, but I would request, I know there's so many things involved, but I would request we come and conclude this story next week. Then at least I think the Charles and Muli, Wanjohi and Muli law firm is a well-established law firm. So if we need any sponsorship of any extension, I know Attorney Mueni will take care of that, so that we can have another one session, Bwana Charles, because I know there are some other things that we need to agree on, the process, the documentation, and also the timelines. I know that is something that is coming up about the timelines. And also the do's and the don'ts after I file for asylum, the do's and the don'ts. What should I do? What should I not do? And there are these people, there are this person who asked me, and I filed for asylum, and now I have gotten a girlfriend, and I want to get married. And this girlfriend of mine is a U.S. citizen. What should I do as far as my asylum is concerned? So those so many things. The issue of domestic violence in the U.S. We were just discussing about that last week and this week. There are so many cases of domestic violence. Did you remember that the Ghanaian pastor from Florida who shot his wife? The wife said that we don't want to call 911 because this husband of mine, or this guy, or this pastor is going through a process, a citizenship process. So they have some things that they are working on. So how many people are in this particular den of challenges? They are going through a domestic violence, but since they filed for asylum, they don't want to take any action. They don't want to call the police. They don't want to call 911 because they are going through the asylum process, or all these things. So next week, my request, Attorney Mueni, I hope next week at least you'll not be a remote. So let us give
There's
some.
no work.
Let us give some closing remarks, and then we can, appreciate everybody. I have so many people on YouTube channel who are watching this. Please share this YouTube channel with somebody and make sure that you subscribe. Press the bell button, the bell notification button down there. Greetings from Charles Geshoke. Garana is here working very hard. I see Charles Geshoke is on YouTube channel, and that is very good. That is why I was looking for you. Grace Wagura, thank you so much. Samuel Wagura, thank you so much. Triple G, Anastasia, Jen Moshene, thank you so much. Says great information. Sonny Wayne, thank you so much. Sarah Wanjiro, Solomon Makomi, Chuse, Hussein, Ronco Williams, the Veronica. This is important. Cynthia Andu, thank you so much. And any other person who is tuned in. We're just about to conclude. And as we conclude, listen to this great advice and please make sure that you take a step of faith. Don't just ignore these things. Hey, don't drink and drive. Don't fight domestic assault and those shaggy kind of behaviors that we usually bring. You go for a party and drink, and then at the end of the day, you start driving home. And then you get arrested and you're still on the Asylum application document. Very important. Okay. We started, I don't know where we start. Mueni.
Sure. Well, thank you so much. I know it's a lot of information that we have new about Asylum, but the point is just to let you know that I hope that you understand that it will be vital and it will be important if you have an asylum claim, if you're thinking of filing an asylum claim, even if you've gone for an interview and you don't have the results yet, that it will be in your best interest to speak to an attorney and just get a grasp of what is it that I have done, what is it I plan to do, what are the next steps from here. Take a look at your facts as you presented them. I don't like people calling them stories because stories sounds like hadithi. But so the fact of exactly what it is that happened to you, we can take a look at that. If you have fallen into the situation whereby you used an agent, do not wait to get to your interview. Once you get to your interview, get caught at that point in time. At least you're knowledgeable now. The USCIS knows all these agents have seen this game before. You know, once you apply an asylum case, it goes into the system, so that narrative will be there. Those facts, if they're too familiar, if are the same as some other case, that will be caught. So do not go into that office with your fingers crossed, hoping and praying and wishing. Go in there informed, get to know exactly what it is that you have presented and what is it that you can expect. Do not be afraid. Again, the word out there, there's a lot of fear mongering and rumor mongering that it's impossible to do asylum, it doesn't work anymore. That's not why we are here. We're not here to instill any fear, but just to encourage you. The law has not changed. Policies and procedure may, as far as the AG has discretion, but the law has not changed as far as asylum is concerned. Yes, we are still filing for asylum cases. Yes, they are still getting approved. So do not lose hope. This should not be a reason for you to sit down and hide and, hopefully, because the ostrich mentality, put your head in the sand and hope it goes away. No. Let's legalize our status. Many of us come here from Kenya, and we are well-educated people. We have opportunities in the United States, and what keeps us from progressing and moving forward is our legal status. So working under the table is not the solution. That $8 job that you have, that you're able to sustain yourself, the people back home, that's not everything. There could be more. And what's preventing you from starting your business, from going to school, from getting that job that you want to do is your legal status. There's ways to be able to do it. Let's take the steps to be able to get there. There's options that are available to you. At least get the information in your hand to allow you to make a decision. If you choose to do nothing, at least say that I'm doing nothing because my 15 options, none were available to me. But don't sit there, do nothing, be here 18 years and you have made no progress only because you're afraid, right? So we're here and we'll talk to you and be able to assist you to path our way forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we are so proud of you. You have become an inspiration to so many people. And we thank God for you, Tony Mueni. And may God continue to bless you as you continue to serve. Faith Kamau, thank you from USA, Washington. See are watching live on YouTube. Sonny Wayne, thank you so much. Anasema salimia Charles sana. Kadogo Jessica says joined late. Hello Mueni. These are people who feel very motivated by your presence here. It is very encouraging, very, very encouraging. Now, Charles, I'll just take a minute and make some conclusion as we wind up. And after this, we are going to say kwaheri to all the viewers who are watching us on YouTube, because we want to make sure that that particular package is as a package as it is, so that even if you share it with somebody, it will not have anything else. It will just be the issues of asylum and immigration issues. So thank you. If you're watching us on YouTube, may God bless you so much. Charles.
Now, I just say that there are a lot of people who have already filed for asylum and they are pending. And in the course of discussion or deliberation with various people, you discover that there are some aspects of your case you're not 100% sure about. Sometimes a lot of people, as we know, you file for asylum within your 1 year of arrival, and 2 years or 3 years down the line, you've moved from one place to another house, or that there has been a lot of movement and you lost your document, or for any other reason you don't have a copy of what you already filed with the asylum office. Please don't despair. Don't go for an interview and you start guessing what was there. There's always ways. Talk to a lawyer. Let them help you get hold of the copies of all what you filed before you go for an interview. And as we always say, you invested a lot to come to this country. Please don't let all that investment go into waste. We love your business a lot. We love your business. We love when we represent you. But we do not want all the money you earn in this country to come to us. You better just spend some little amount of money at the beginning rather than spending a lot of money with ton and ton of lawyers for 10, 15 years trying to fight with immigration. Just do it right at the beginning, and you'll end up saving yourself a lot of money and also your mind. And next week, Captain, we will, I think Mueni will have no problem with us coming to conclude on asylum. We shall deal with the do's and don'ts, and the most important, we'll deal with the evidence to present. And we'll also deal with how to conduct yourself as you prepare for interview and during the interview. And what do you do in case your asylum is not granted by a USCIS officer?
Thank you so much.
Have a good evening.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate Mueni, Tony Mueni, and Attorney Charles. Thank you so much. I have put all your numbers there. I have 919-578-3691. I guess that works. I have another one, 617-850-9097. I have another one there that is 919-641-1293. And the toll-free line that is 1-855-WAKILIS. And 1-855-Achilles. You can even send an email in case you don't get them on all these numbers. These guys are so busy. So sometimes when you call and they don't pick up, it might be maybe they're having another case. The Charles is representing even in Kenya. So sometimes they are everywhere. So in case your telephone number, you call and the call is not picked up, don't lose hope. You can leave a message or even write an email. I believe it is gonna be picked up. Ama namna gani, Attorney Mueni?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And good night. God bless you so much. I wish you all the best.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you.